Welcome to the vlog. Hi, my name is Autumn. I'm a reader and a writer, and today is going to be a day in my life. What you can expect is a little bit of what I do on my days off. I work full-time in healthcare. I am a full-time grad student in a public health program, but the main game plan for today, I really want to get 3 one-hour writing sessions in. It's been a couple of weeks since I wrote a little bit for my high fantasy project, and I really just want to take some time to do that. I hope to do 1 writing sprint this morning. Once I get my coffee, I kind of get my feet under me to figure out what I want to really do for the entire day, which we'll talk about once the coffee is in my system. I want to do 1 writing session in the afternoon. I have a writing sprint scheduled on YouTube tonight at 5:30, or 5. I will get about an hour of writing in. Then I have 2 books that I am currently reading. One of them I hope to finish in this video. The other book I don't think I'll finish today because I'm about 60% of the way through that book. I have a little bit more to get through and I just don't think I'm going to finish it today. It is not even 8 o'clock in the morning and it's very gloomy outside. Since I sound like a croaking frog, let me get some water, let me get my coffee, and we can talk a little bit more in the kitchen once I get all of that. But again, welcome to the vlog. I am so happy to have you here with me today, and let's go ahead and head to the kitchen so we can get some coffee. On my days off, I usually drink hot tea. I forgot I cleaned the coffee pot, it's over here. But today I'm actually going to have coffee because we grinded up, grinded up? I don't know, it's not even 8. What are words? But we ground up a whole bunch of beans yesterday. So I'll probably have 2 cups of coffee, and I usually only ever have 1. So we'll see what happens with my life today. I have my planner here because I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit more about the game plan for today. I need to clean, and usually when I clean, I like to put my headphones in and listen to my audiobooks. Audiobook I have for today that's actually due later this evening, so I really do need to finish it, which I only have like 2.5 hours left of this audiobook, and it's called Happyland by Dolan Perkins Valdez, and I've been enjoying it. I really like this book so far. For schoolwork, I need to work on a couple of projects, and really that's it. So cleaning, writing, audiobook listening, and schoolwork. I have been sitting here for a little bit figuring out my schoolwork. We're learning a different statistical software. It's called Stata. I've never used it before. I'm gonna go ahead and just knock out the schoolwork or like one of the 2 projects now, and then I want to do my first writing session for today. We can chat about my writing progress. Hi. I'm raising my desk and making sure nothing falls. I finished doing that project for school. It took me about an hour. It's almost about 10 o'clock, and I still want to do my first writing sprint. I am going to light my candle that my brother and my sister-in-law got me. I love it so much. The project that I am currently working on is my high fantasy story, Project Ice. I have finished outlining draft 2, and the story has changed a good bit, but in all the right ways. After I finished the outline for draft 2, I have been working on the actual draft for draft 2, you know, because that is the next step. But how I've been approaching this draft and how it's been different from my projects in the past. So I did the outline and I did that in Excel. Now I'm working on the actual draft, but I'm taking the outline from Excel and I'm copy and pasting that into a Google document. I am adding more descriptions. So I'm not actually writing a whole lot of words right now. I'm still just building off of that rough outline of draft 2. I have learned over the last like year and a half of doing like graduate research, that format is a lot more productive for me than writing just like the draft by itself, or using the outline and then writing a full manuscript. This actually works a lot better for my brain, and it's crazy that it took me going into research and having to write differently to realize that there's a more efficient way for me to write. I had a loose goal. I didn't vlog myself doing this. When I finished outlining draft 2, I set a very loose goal for myself to try and write 5,000 words towards this document between September to the end of October. While I'm nowhere near that goal, I think I have about 1,600 words. The whole point of me setting that goal for myself was to be intentional about my writing session and to work on the project a little bit here and there. 5,000 words is not a lot of words, but it's enough to keep me motivated, to keep me coming back to the project. I'm currently at 1,632 words for draft 2. I am currently working on, I feel like I'm on like chapter 9 or 10. I was starting to work on chapter 9, and then I think I had to call it quits the last time I was working on this story. So I am going to pick up with chapter 9, working on that outline, copy and pasting it from my Excel sheet to the Word document. I know I've talked about this before, but with my project, it's multi-POV and it's a high fantasy adventure novel. In this particular chapter, there are some pretty big beats, plot points in this chapter, and I think that's why I stopped the last time I was working on this one particular chapter, because I knew it was like a multiple beats, pretty in-depth chapter that I really wanted to make sure I outlined everything that I want to happen in this scene, in this chapter, introduce all of the characters that I needed to, and make sure that the world building leading up to this point all kind of flowed. I will probably go back to maybe chapter 6 or 7 and just review those 3 chapters before chapter 9. So I think I'm going to write until 11, and then we'll do something else for the next hour or so. Since I was able to finish that one project, I do have one more that I need to do this afternoon. I am so glad I got that over with. Good job, team. I ended up writing for about an hour and 15 minutes. I went over the scheduled time, but I was feeling it. We were vibing. I finished chapter 9, 10, and 11. That leads us to the interlude that's going to bring us into Act 2. And I broke my Act 2 into 2 parts, so it'll be part 2 and part 3. We'll have the interlude, and then it'll be part 2, and then we'll work on chapter 12. I think the longest part of this writing session was chapter 9, because there really was a lot of moving pieces, little things that I felt like needed to happen. I wanted to do it in such a way that didn't feel pushed. It'll all come together, and I think it'll make more sense when I'm actually writing out the scenes, because you know, right now I'm just expanding on the outline. It's still just kind of like bullet points, a few sentences to describe what I want to happen. A small sliver of me was concerned that it wasn't going to raise the stakes, and what was happening felt very pushed. But I think it's going to be okay, and I think we'll be fine, because once I start writing it out, I can put the feels, I can put the emotions actually onto the page. And I think that's what I'm missing right now, since I'm just expanding on the outline. I think it'll be all right, and that can be something that I fix when I'm drafting. For chapter 10, it's a different POV, it's in a different part of the world, and this chapter, I'm looking over at my screen, but this chapter follows the main character. They're all main characters. characters, but the primary person. We're in the debate if you follow Save the Cat. So, you know, she's really debating on what she's going to do next. And so leading up to her figuring out, who am I? Should I go on this quest or should I just stay where I'm at? Will I survive? You know, what is going to be my outcome? She's really not too sure what she should do. So we're learning a little bit more about her character and then the characters around her who are either going to push her to do certain things or they're going to not push her to do those things and maybe seek another direction. So I think this chapter is really good at, I think it's building a little bit of suspense, you know, because we're not quite sure who we're going to trust. It's not really a mystery and, you know, there's not things like thriller novel in here or anything, but there are going to be like underlying of what side are you on or who is this person and what are their intentions. I want this to be a very character driven story. I love reading character driven stories. I want the story to feel like that and I don't want it to feel like the plot is dragging the characters. I want it to feel like the plot is being manipulated by the characters. Again, I think that it will come more together when I'm actually writing and drafting the story. So it feels a little incomplete because I'm not adding like the depth of the characters because I think that that will make more sense to add that later. One other thing that I'm also doing, trying to keep track of all of the characters. So I have a character sheet for everybody I've introduced, or if there is a character that needs to be introduced into the story, I'm writing down who this person is in that character sheet. And they can change later. They can, if they're like small minor characters, I could have like a whole bunch of them right now, but then they could be merged into one character or just a couple of characters. But I think that will come later. But I'm just trying to keep track of everybody. I think it'll be easier to do that now. I'm not getting too wild and crazy with the characters quite yet, since I am just trying to get the story formed, created, making sense. Everybody else they'll just all kind of fall in line. Chapter 11, which was my final chapter in Act 1. This character, she's my favorite character. I really, really like this character and I feel like she has a lot to offer in this story and I feel like she kind of acts like that voice of reason, but she is also like, she's voicing what I kind of want the reader to also realize too, where all of this stuff is going on. All of this is happening, but what are the choices that she's going to make, even though she feels like she's very aware of everything. When I come back to my writing session this afternoon, I will be just briefly working on that interlude, since the interlude is only going to be a page to just kind of get us into Act 2, Part 2. I don't need to do huge bullet points since it's just going to be short and snappy and it needs to be information that's going to carry us from one act to the next. I don't think I need to be overly detailed right now. Okay, I swear I'm not procrastinating, but there was actually one other thing I wanted to do while I was in here before I started to clean. I promise I'm not stalling because I really do like cleaning and I do need to get some cleaning done. For the last year with my channel, I feel like I was really, I don't want to say struggling, but I was sharing a lot more of my reading journey and versus my writing journey because I feel like it took me a really long time to find a new normal, with my new normal being working full-time, going to school full-time, and then I added on a part-time job with the university. I really do think, even though I started the part-time job with the university in August, there was a lot that was going on personally last year, and I feel like it took me a really long time to find a new normal. I think the tail end of this year, I have learned how to feel comfortable in that new normal. I'm saying all of that because I think I was really struggling mentally to write and to be creative. So I shared a lot more of my reading journey than my writing journey, and full transparency, I don't think it did my channel any favors. I feel like I lost a lot of support from the writing community and, you know, people who enjoyed my journey, who enjoyed listening and following my writing journey. I feel like I let some people down. I want to really find my roots in sharing my writing journey again. I love reading and I still want to share my reading journey. I am trying to find a better balance of sharing more of my writing, since that's what I'm founded on. That's, you know, where my channel originated. Last night when I was laying in bed, I actually feel like I found a way to have both on my channel, but primarily focus on writing. So I want to write down those thoughts. And since I have my notebook over here, I want to see if the ideas that I have in my head is something that could actually work. I think in 2026, I'm going to do a little bit of a different strategy, but include more writing because I think that's what we all like. And I love writing and I love talking about my writing and I love vlogging. I noticed that my sit down videos don't really do quite as well. Okay, so this is exactly how my days normally go. Everything that I said that I was about to do, I didn't do any of it, and I've been sitting at my desk. So I sat down to do the whole reading, like look into the whole what I'm gonna do in 2026 for my reading goals, for my reading content. And when I sat down, I saw that I had an email from the university for my clinical hours for next semester, and it's a lot to explain. The long story short, I'm trying to get reduced clinical hours because the job that I currently do for the last like 7 years is considered public health, and I can potentially submit a waiver to get reduced clinical hours. But I had an email saying that I needed to submit all of my stuff because I did that yesterday. I don't even know like what day it is. Like, who am I? What am I doing with my life? I received an email saying that I needed to use this particular link to submit my stuff. I used that link to submit everything, and that just took a while, and it's almost 1 o'clock. I don't remember what time it was when we had our last conversation, but now it's getting a little bit late. I still want to do everything that I talked about, and I am gonna go do that now, but I think I'm going to sit here and eat lunch and do that, and then we'll just pick up from my last update. This is also typical where I'll have school stuff that will come in, or with my part-time university job, my supervisor, who's also a professor, he will email me stuff and then I'll have to sit down and do that at my earliest convenience. This is a typical day in my life when I am off of work and I have other things that I have to do. So So the cleaning is done, and so is the audiobook for Happy Land. I loved it. I think it was a solid book. I'm giving it 4 stars. I love the narrative. I feel like I read somewhere that that was a debut. I'll have to double check on that one. Loved it. I think it's a beautiful story. Love the narrative. The pacing was perfect. All of the character development was just phenomenal. Definitely recommend, and I'm so glad I was able to read it. It was one of my anticipated spring releases. I'm reading a lot of my anticipated spring releases right now, and it's amazing. It's about 4:30 now, so I have writing sprints in the next half hour. I'm gonna sit down and write for about 15-ish minutes, get everything set up, ready to rock and roll, and then I'll jump into the writing sprints. I don't know how long I'll go. I think I had said earlier I'll go for an hour, so maybe 2 30-minute writing sprints, because that seems like it would work best for me. I might do one. I don't even want to put that into the universe. No, we're gonna stop there. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my station set up for writing sprints in the next half hour. But this has been a really productive day. I may have just told you a fib. I said I was going to sit here and read until my live stream, but I can't do that. I forgot that I had to do that other school project before my writing sprints, and really before today ends, because I work for the next couple of days and I am not gonna have a chance to work on that project. I need to go ahead and knock that out in the next 20 minutes. And if I don't get it knocked out before the writing sprints, then I guess I'll just have to do it afterwards. We did 2 30-minute writing sprints. It was fantastic. I got so much done. That's what I miss sometimes about writing sprints, especially when there aren't a lot of people who join and you can really stay focused. You can have a little bit of a conversation and then get back into your writing. I think I had finished chapter 11. I think that was my last update. But I finished chapter 11. I did the interlude, which was really fun. I finished chapter 12, 13, 14. I'm working on chapter 15, but that's probably where I'll leave you guys today, with finishing chapter 15, or almost finished with chapter 15. I'll finish it another day. I have 55 chapters in this draft slash outline, and I'm on chapter 15. So I still have a pretty good chunk to go before we're finished. So far, I think we're doing all right. I feel really great about the work that I'm doing. I know earlier today I talked about how I had a loose goal for myself with an accountability buddy, how I wanted to just kind of get to 5,000 words by the end of October. Today, I don't remember what I started at. I feel like it was around 1,600, but now I'm at 3,652 words for this outline. I don't know if you'll ever know because I'll probably honestly forget to update you, but just know that I am slowly and steadily working on this outline slash draft 2. I'm feeling really great about it. I don't think it's winning any awards, but we're doing our best. We're motivating ourselves. We're getting out here and we're writing, and that's all we can ever really, ask for. Once I say goodbye, I am going to finish working on the one other homework assignment, but just know that's what I'm going to be working on, and I'm going to be getting supper ready. Today was really productive, and I hope that you enjoyed the vlog. I hope you enjoyed seeing a little slice of life of what my days usually look like. Got a little crazy there in the middle, as I feel like most of my days do. This was great, and I'm really happy to have taken you guys along with me today. Thank you all so much for watching and being here and rooting me on. Just know I'm rooting you on too, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.